All right, so you've got the drive, you've got the ambition, but why aren't investors and landlords buying your wholesale real estate deals? Don't worry, we're going to unpack all of that today in this video. Hey, it's a beautiful day. This is Andrew with Wealth Investors Network again, where we are still focusing on residential real estate as a means of helping our members either supplement or completely replace their W-2 income without having to do any work. All right, so today we're talking about offers and why wholesalers are not getting more of their real estate deals funded and closed. Big issue that I'm seeing, and I don't want any of our partners to experience this. So I wanted to put together a quick video just to kind of give a little bit of a backdrop into the mindset of an investor or a landlord specifically, not a flipper, because that's a different type of category altogether when we start talking about buyers, but we're talking specifically about landlords and how we calculate the actual property value in the absence of comps. So say, for instance, if we don't have three solid comps in one geographic area within the same period of time, the number of solds, and all of those things that go into comps. If we don't have that, then how do you calculate the ARV? Well, I'm glad you asked because there is a way to do that. So let's start first of all by talking about the demographic of the buyer. This is not a flipper that we're dealing with. This is a landlord. So a landlord may be willing to buy a property that is in a remote area that does not have all of the comps in place. Why? Because they are more focused on the cash flow. Cash flow is king in this world. So that's what we want to focus on now. The first thing that the landlord is going to want to know when they're analyzing a property is what is the monthly rent that I can charge my tenant and make cash flow from this property. So just for round numbers sake and illustration purposes, we'll say $1,000 per month is the going rate for this particular property in our example. So the landlord is going to take this dollar amount and they're going to process that in their calculations for determining the actual value for this property. Now, how do they do that? Well, the way that they do that, or the way that we do that, funny I should say that because just as a sidebar, we do buy properties throughout the entire United States. And this is the method that we use in order to determine the value of properties in the absence of comps. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in upcoming videos, but I wanted to lay this foundation now because this is going to be pivotal in a lot of the interactions that we have with our partners. So if one day you have a property and you want to come to Wealth Investors Network because you're looking for a buyer, a special buyer, then we certainly want to be there and we want to be available to help out with the selling of that property. But there are guidelines that we have in terms of how we're going to analyze that property. So that's what this video is about. Now, getting back to our regularly scheduled program, $1,000 a month is what we've determined that the monthly rent is going to be for any given property. But the thing that we need to understand is that that doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to be able to capture all of that $1,000 per month because there are holding costs involved. So what are holding costs? The things that go into managing a property, maintaining a property, keeping a property in our portfolio. So you're going to have things like your expected maintenance. Every month, there's going to be a certain percentage of that monthly payment that's going to go towards maintenance and upkeep. So for rough numbers and quick calculations, I normally take 30% of the actual rent amount that we receive on a monthly basis. And then I factor that into our calculation to determine what our take home is going to be. So after that $1,000 gets adjusted, then we've got a new modified monthly rent of $700 per month because 30% of the $1,000 per month that we'll be bringing in from our tenant will be $700 per month. Okay. Now, the thing that we want to make sure of is that this is a monthly recurring residual income, but it needs to be annualized. So we want to convert this $700 per month into a yearly amount. So in order to do that, then we would take the $700 times 12 months, and that would give us a value of $8,400 per year. And this is annualized. So after we get that annualized value for the income, then we want to factor in our return on investments. Now, most landlords are going to want anywhere from an 8 to a 12% return on their investment. Could be more, could be less, just depends on the landlord and who you're dealing with as a buyer. 10% return on investment for this particular deal is what the landlord is shooting for. And so the way that we would calculate the MAOR, the maximum allowable offer for this property, let me go ahead and put that in, is we would take the $8,400 and we would divide that number by the 10%, which is 0.1. And that gives us a maximum allowable offer of $84,000. Now, what the maximum allowable offer means is that this is the absolute highest amount that the buyer will pay for any given property based on the qualities of the property. Right. So that doesn't necessarily mean that that's what the buyer is going to offer. That just means that the offer will not exceed the maximum allowable offer. Okay. And the reason that's important is because from this MAO, we're going to reduce it by the amount of the repairs necessary to fix this property up and make it rent ready. So if, for instance, this property is in need of some cosmetic repairs, maybe paint, flooring, different little things here and there, and we determine in our estimation that it's going to cost us $6,000 to get this place up and going and ready to be rented out, well, then that's going to be deducted from the maximum allowable offer. So in this instance, we have $84,000 for our MAO, and then we're going to reduce that by $6,000 repair costs, which gives us to our actual value of our offer, which is $78,000. So $78,000 is the actual amount that we're going to offer for this property. All right. So this gives you a very quick layout of how we calculate and how a lot of real estate investors and professional landlords will be calculating properties or property values so that you position your property in the best possible light for a sale. All right, so stay tuned for more upcoming videos where we tips and tricks on how to expand and grow your empire stress-free, worry-free, just by partnering with Wealth Investors Network. And for a more personalized strategy call, get with us and see us at the link below so that we can connect. And love to be able to reach out and to help out in any way, add value as much as we can in any way that we can, and hopefully see you over the top. So this is Andrew again, signing out. Until we meet again, take care.